And the idea on this swap was to be very dimensional, 3D, whatever you want to do. And being in vintage is the hot topic right now. I decided to go with vintage beach. And when I think of vintage beach, I think of cabanas. Therefore, if you look at my tag, it does appear to be a cabana. And I'm going to try to take you through parts of this step by step. Let me just say, this is probably the most time-consuming tags that I've ever done. I don't even want to guess how many hours are in on these, developing them and coming up with a way to do it. But I just wanted to sort of give you a heads up. I'm going to, this part of the video, I'm basically going to sort of show you what the tag looks like. Then I'm going to show you how I made the sky and the sea and the sand. And then probably one or two more videos after this will show you some of the other techniques, but I thought I'd start with these techniques first. First of all, I'm going to open up the tag for you, and this has got a magnet in here, and so if you notice, this is some fringe. I glimmer mist that with red velvet. It was originally ivory. It's not as dark as I want it, but I didn't want it overbearing as well, and I thought it looked a little sun bleached out, sort of. And then I did put another piece of rickrack over the top of that, and that's a little bit distressed, this sort of blend. So when you lift this up, the magnet lets go. There's magnets in here, and there's magnets underneath here. This is picket cloth, and I fan folded it at the top, and I fan folded it at the bottom. Then I did take it into the inside, and as you can see, I have some little beach sign. That is a popsicle stick. Whoops, it's out of blur. And I just put some crackle paint on that and distressed it. Then I have some extra little grasses at the bottom. And I apologize, I can see this is out of focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up, and here is the tag. And Fun in the Sun is my theme. And you can see I have a very dimensional sailboat. I have some seagulls. I have a sun. I have a really cute little kid playing in the sand, making a sand castle with a couple of seashells around that. And then I'm still working on it, but this is my first interpretation of a palm tree. You'll see in the other videos that those palm trees do get better. But everything was hand stamped and embossed. I'm going to put this down flat now so you can get the whole feeling of the tag. I'm going to back up my camera. Sorry for the vibrations. But this is my Fun in the Sun tag. So what I'm going to do currently is I'm going to show you some of the techniques and what I did do. Obviously, first of all, I had to come up with the size of a tag. And I ended up taking, first of all, these are the extra large shipping tags. And if you notice, that is the back part of the tag. That, I believe, is the number 10 tag. I think that's the number. I'm pretty certain it is. Of course, I don't have it, the packaging out here. And what I did with that to begin with was I turned it over and I put a piece of paper here, glimmer misted the front or the back, whatever you want to call it, about 2 inches down. And if you notice, that is what is up here. So when I close the tag up completely, that is my top part of the tag. So that's where that coloring came in at. Then after I did that, those were taken to my Martha Stewart scoring board, and I scored those tags at the following measurements. And the first measurement was 6 1/4 from the bottom, so I scored it from a 6 1/4 from this end to that end. Then I scored it again 2 marks over, which I think is like 1/8 of an inch, and then I scored it again right below where the tag is at, and that's how. And then I folded those squares, and that gives me my depth that I'm going to need for the top part of the cabana. So you're now looking at this part of the tag. So once I got all those done, as you can see, I have those all folded, ready to go. Next step was getting the magnet up underneath there and getting it lined up, and I did. I actually looked several times, could not find magnets. This isn't the magnet I'm going to be using, but this is one of them. I ended up finally last weekend found some flat magnets, so those will go in there, and then that's what's going to hold the cover shut a little bit. And then I put the material over the top of that as well. The fan folding of material is not easy. I'm not going to beat around the bush. But what I ended up doing was I took this very heavy manila cardstock. You could use folders, whatever you want. That measurement came out to be 6 1/4 inches tall. You fold it first at the 3 5/8 mark, then you do it at the 3 3/4 mark, then you measure over again and score it at 7 3/8 and then 7 1/2. And that ends up giving you your fan folding, and you do really want to crease those very nicely. I'm sort of showing you how it folds up. And make sure you get both ends, because that's going to give you your dimensions, and when you see how this tag comes together, you really need to have that extra space. So that was the next step basically. And this is the stamp that I did use for the sailboat, just to show you again, collage stamps, how you can take it apart and do what you want. This was from 2004 Stamping Up. I think it was called Sail. So that's where I ended up using that stamp from. So, and then what you need to do is you need to take your material. You can use whatever you want. I found this was the last they had at Joann's. And basically you're going to start by gluing at the top and fan folding your gather. And I glued it. Now if you're a sewer, you could probably sew it. But I found if you just take it and you go across like this and just keep fan folding it. And I ended up using the good old matte accent glue. It seemed to quickly dry. I tried a couple other glues and the hot glue gun. It just was too hard. Hot glue gun was too stiff. And so then you do want to leave extra and go to the back of the tag a little bit and then to the front. And I'm going to show you how that looks on one of the tags, as you can see how I did it. Long process. This is what took the longest. You imagine I ended up, I think, having to do about 12 of those. So that is a very, very long process. It is better to do this before you do any of the other decorative making, because you can tuck your edges in and hide it with your other paper. So I found that out after I did too many of them the wrong way to begin with. So that's the steps on getting your cabana part together. Next part was basically coming up with the sky. And I have this handy dandy tool. I've had it forever. As you know, I've been telling you some of my stuff I've had for a while. And what's nice about this is I had this stencil. And I'm going to sort of turn this. There's no good way to do this, but I'm going to show you this. This stencil is clear. You can't see it. There's nothing I can do about it. But it has several things it's able to do. On one end, it's for ribbon, or for waves, mountains, grass, clouds is what I used it for. Mountaintops, waterfalls. This was by a company called CC Stamps, just the letter C. And I don't even know they're in business anymore or not. But what you end up doing is you end up taking your paper, and this is just typing paper, but when I actually did this, my final product, I end up using some heavy white cardstock. But you put your stencil down wherever you want to. I found the best way to do it is to start like in a sort of to the center. You take this little handy dandy tool. You take, I ended up using blue jean and faded jeans, distress ink, and broken china, and you just basically stamp into your stamp pad. Then you go onto your stencil in some coloring, pull it up towards the center only. You don't want to do that all the way through. You only want to do it where you want to be really highlighted at. And you just keep repeating that. And then you do want to keep fading out your colors. And I'm hoping you can see the action that I'm doing. And the reason that you don't want to do that fade up or the pull up all the way through is that is supposed to be where the sun is the brightest and your sunlight's coming through. So as you can see, depending on how much ink you put on there, it gives you how much of the texture you're going to get. Now you can see I pressed down harder on that corner, got a lot more ink coverage. And you just keep doing that until you get your whole page covered. And as you can see, that's another example on the side of that. So you just keep doing that, and you want to do like a layer of only a little bit of the dark faded jeans. Majority of the color in the background is the broken china. You just want to keep moving your stencil around. It doesn't matter if it's not exactly perfect, but you don't want the pattern to be on top of itself over and over. Otherwise, you can definitely tell it's fake. You want to also bend your clouds a little bit. Let me show you that color a little bit. And I'm over time already.